Stephen A. Smith is fired up, and he's not alone. The decision to leave Caitlin Clark off the Olympic roster has sparked a firestorm. But is this about more than just one player? We're digging into the bigger picture of how talent selection can make or break a team's success. Let's talk numbers. Clark's been on fire, dropping 109 points and dishing out 64 assists in just 5 games. She's leading the WNBA in assists. That's not just good, it's jaw-dropping. But here's the thing, this isn't just about Clark. It's about how picking the right players can make or break a team. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for this. You might be wondering, how could leaving out the hottest rookie in WNBA history possibly be the right call? Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Caitlin Clark's Olympic snub. This isn't just a minor oversight, it's a decision that's got basketball fans scratching their heads and asking some big questions. Clark's not just good, she's breaking records left and right. We're talking about a rookie who's lighting up the scoreboard and dishing out assists like it's going out of style. Her impact on the court is undeniable, but it's off the court where things get really interesting. You see, Clark isn't just a player, she's a phenomenon. Her games are drawing crowds that some NBA teams would envy. We're talking an average of 16,680 fans per game. That's not just impressive, it's game-changing. So why leave her off the Olympic roster? Well, that's where things get complicated. The selection committee faced a real dilemma. Do you pick based on raw talent or factor in popularity? Jen Rosati, a member of the selection committee, put it bluntly: it would be irresponsible for us to talk about her in a way other than how she would impact the play of the team. Translation: popularity doesn't win gold medals. But here's where it gets tricky. How do you balance veteran experience with rookie fire? And at what cost? These are the questions keeping basketball execs up at night. Let's break it down. On one side, you've got seasoned players who've been there, done that. They know the pressure of representing their country on the world stage. They've got the experience, the cool heads under pressure. On the other side, you've got Clark. She's fresh, she's hungry, and she's got skills that are making jaws drop across the league. But she's also untested in Olympic play. It's a classic case of the devil you know versus the devil you don't. Listen, now let's play a little game. I'm gonna throw some stats at you, and you try to guess who they belong to. Player A, averaging 21.9 points per game. Player B, 20.8 points per game. One of these players made the Olympic roster, and one didn't. Care to guess which is which? I'll let you stew on that for a moment. But here's the kicker. Those stats don't tell the whole story. They never do. There's team chemistry to consider, playing styles to match, and a whole lot of factors that don't show up on the stat sheet. But let's not kid ourselves. Leaving Clark off the team isn't just about points on the scoreboard. It's about missed opportunities that go way beyond the basketball court. Think about it. Clark's not just a player, she's a draw. She's bringing new fans to the game, generating buzz, and let's face it, buzz means bucks. In a world where women's sports are fighting for every bit of airtime and sponsorship dollar, that kind of star power is gold. So what's the real cost of this decision? Sorry, Team USA might have lost out on some flashy plays and crowd-pleasing moments. But the bigger question is, did they miss a chance to elevate the entire game? Dawn Staley, another member of the selection committee, dropped a bombshell recently. She said Clark would be in high consideration if the team were selected today. Talk about a plot twist. It's like watching a movie where the hero doesn't get picked for the big mission, only to find out later they were the key to success all along. But here's the thing, leaving Clark off the team might have cost more than just points on the scoreboard. Let's talk numbers. Alright, let's talk about rethinking talent integration. You know how some NBA teams seem to have cracked the code, blending seasoned vets with fresh-faced rookies? That's the secret sauce we're cooking up here. Take the Golden State Warriors. They've mastered the art of mixing experience with raw talent. You've got Steph Curry leading the charge, while young guns like Jonathan Kuminga bring that explosive energy. It's a delicate balance, but when it works, it's magic. Now, imagine Caitlin Clark in that mix for Team USA. We're talking about a player who's dishing out 8.2 assists per game. That's not just good, that's league-leading stuff. And let's not forget her scoring. She's putting up numbers that make even the most jaded basketball fans sit up and take notice. Picture this: Clark on the court with Olympic veterans, her quick hands and eagle-eyed passes setting up seasoned scorers. That's not just a good play, it's a game changer. Remember that nail-biter against France? Team USA squeaked by, but it wasn't pretty. Now, throw Clark into that equation. Her ability to create space, to see openings where others see walls. That could have been the difference between a close call and a comfortable win. But it's not just about what Clark brings to the table right now. It's about the future. Dawn Stolle dropped a truth bomb when she said Clark would be in high consideration if the team were picked today. That's not just hindsight, that's a wake-up call. Building a team isn't just about picking the best players on paper. It's about creating a squad that can evolve, adapt, and dominate for years to come. It's about looking at a player like Clark and seeing not just who she is, but who she could become. Think about the long game here. Giving a rising star like Clark Olympic experience now could pay dividends for years. It's like planting a seed that could grow into a mighty oak of basketball dominance. And let's not kid ourselves. This isn't just about what happens on the court. Clark's not just a player. She's a phenomenon. She's bringing new eyes to the game, filling seats, and generating buzz that women's basketball desperately needs. You might be thinking, sure, Clark's good, but is she really Olympic good? Well, let me hit you with this. Her impact goes beyond stats. She's got that intangible quality that turns casual viewers into diehard fans. That's not something you can measure with a stopwatch or a scoreboard. But here's where it gets really interesting. The decision to leave Clark off the team isn't just about this Olympics. It's about setting a precedent. It's about sending a message to every young player out there busting their butt to make it big. What's that message? Is it wait your turn? Or is it if you're good enough, you're old enough? These are the questions that keep sports fans up at night, debating in bars and on social media. And let's talk about those fans for a second. They're not just spectators, they're the lifeblood of the sport. When they see a player like Clark lighting up the court and then not making the Olympic cut, it raises eyebrows. It gets people talking. And in today's world, talk translates to engagement, to viewership, to cold, hard cash. So we're not just talking about wins and losses here. We're talking about the future of the sport. We're talking about inspiring the next generation of players. We're talking about growing the game in ways that go far beyond the final score. Let's talk numbers, but not just any numbers. We're talking about the kind of numbers that make team owners sit up and take notice. Caitlin Clark isn't just filling seats, she's packing arenas. We're looking at an average attendance of 16,280 fans per game. That's not just impressive, it's game-changing. Think about it. In a world where women's sports are fighting for every bit of attention, Clark is a walking, talking, basketball shooting magnet. She's not just bringing fans to the game, she's creating new ones, and that's where things get really interesting. More fans mean more eyes on the sport. More eyes mean more sponsors. More sponsors mean more money, and more money, that's the fuel that drives the entire engine of women's basketball. We're talking about better facilities, better training, better opportunities for players at all levels. But it's not just about the here and now. Clark's impact could ripple through women's basketball for years to come. Imagine a young girl watching Clark light up the scoreboard. That's not just entertainment, that's inspiration. That's a seed planted that could grow into the next generation of basketball superstars. Now, let's zoom out for a second. What happens when you take a player like Clark and put her on the biggest stage in the world? The Olympics isn't just a tournament, it's a global showcase. It's a chance to show the world just how electrifying women's basketball can be. But here's the kicker. It's not just about what Clark could have brought to the Olympics. It's about what the Olympics could have done for Clark. Olympic experience is like basketball boot camp on steroids. It's where good players become great and great players become legends. Think about the long-term effects. A young player getting that kind of experience early in their career, that's not just good for them, it's good for the entire sport. It's about raising the bar, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in women's basketball. And let's not forget, Clark isn't just sitting at home feeling sorry for herself. No, she's out there turning this snub into rocket fuel for her career. Her response? They woke a monster. Those aren't just words, that's a battle cry. Imagine the fire burning in Clark right now. Every shot, every pass, every game is a chance to prove the doubters wrong. And when a player with her talent plays with that kind of motivation, watch out, world. This isn't just about proving people wrong, though. It's about pushing herself to new heights. It's about taking her game to a level that makes her impossible to ignore. And when she does that, she's not just elevating her own game, she's elevating the entire sport. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark's journey isn't just about one player or one Olympics. It's about the future of women's basketball. It's about changing perceptions, breaking barriers, and opening doors that have been closed for far too long. Think about the conversations happening right now. In locker rooms, in boardrooms, in living rooms across the country, people are talking about women's basketball. They're debating, they're getting excited, they're engaging with the sport in ways they never have before. That's the real power of a player like Clark. She's not just changing the game on the court, she's changing the way people think about the game off the court. And that's how you build a legacy that lasts long after the final buzzer sounds. So what's the big takeaway here? It's simple. Smart talent selection, team balance, and long-term thinking are game changers. But here's the kicker. You're not just watching from the sidelines. You're part of this game, and your voice matters. Think about it. Every time you talk hoops, support new talent, or question team decisions, you're shaping the future of basketball. You're not just fans, you're the heartbeat of the sport. So here's what you can do. Get involved in those team selection debates, cheer for the rising stars, and demand transparency from the top. Because the next chapter of basketball history, it's being written right now. And guess what? You've got a pen. Remember what Clark said? They woke a monster. Well, they woke something else too. A whole army of fans ready to make their voices heard. Are you in?